Let's talk about funding. It's one of the most popular questions that we get asked in our pathfinding service. Entrepreneurs see how much funding is potentially available to them, and they're curious, but it's also a hard process to navigate. When to apply, what to apply for, and what these grants really mean for your business and its future. Contact the grant funders before the application is due. This is going to do two things for you. Number one, you'll get to ask questions. Things like, how much can I really apply for? Is this the right grant for my business or the project I have in mind? And what things can I include in this budget? And what things can I not include that could potentially get me denied if I include them? And the second thing that this can do for you is your program advisors might actually be able to revise your grant proposal before you send it in. Now, they won't write it for you, but they might be able to edit it or make some suggestions to improve your chances of succeeding in getting this grant. It's very common for entrepreneurs to get excited by the potential that grants can offer them. These grants will fund projects and project types, and so as an entrepreneur, you might think you need funding for one thing, see a grant, and totally change the purpose of your project to fit the grant's requirements. When you do that, although you might be getting more funding coming in, you are creating more work for yourself. Funding isn't free money, and so you're creating more work that you'll have to report on and you'll have to deliver on. So first, ensure that the grant that you are writing truly serves a purpose in your business to further your goals. The second reason why you don't want to go way over budget just to fit the maximum amount you could apply for these grants is that the larger your amount that you're requesting, the more the grant committee will be scrutinizing your application. And so you are increasing your chances of being denied for smaller things or being given a much smaller amount than you originally applied for anyways. So be clear on what you're asking for and understand how this will truly serve your business in the long run. Creating your first budget for a grant proposal can be daunting, especially if you're hiring for a skill or an expertise with a contractor and freelancers that you currently don't have. So how are you supposed to know how much the service is truly going to cost if you yourself don't have that experience? The best way to do this is to ask in advance for contractors you may want to work with for a quote to deliver the work that you need to be done. So what you'll do is you'll reach out to at least 3 contractors, and you're going to ask them about their services. You're going to tell them about the project you have in mind, and you're going to ask them to provide you a quote. In general, try to aim to have your quotes ready about a week in advance. That'll give you enough time to add it to the budget. When you get quotes for your budget, it'll do a few things for you. The first is that you have to start in advance if you want to get quotes. The second is that you'll be doing your research. You'll be getting to know the potential contractors or freelancers you could hire, and you might have a gut instinct for who you want to work with. When you talk about the person you truly want to work with the most, you're allowing grantors to see a bit of your decision-making process, and it will help them either approve or not approve the grant. So it's always appreciated from the grantor's perspective. The last thing is that you don't have to go with the cheapest or the most expensive contractor, but you should truly elaborate every time that you are picking one over the other as to why that is. It'll help make your life easier, and it'll also make your budget and your proposal much stronger. There is nothing more crushing than spending weeks leading up to a grant application, working on a document only for you to watch it crash just before you submit it. So you can save yourself from the headache by copy and pasting the questions from a grant application onto a separate document. It can be a Word doc, a Google doc, whatever you feel most comfortable with. In doing so, you're actually doing 2 things. One, of course, you're saving those answers in case the internet goes out or the save doesn't work properly. But the second thing you're doing is saving those answers for later grant applications. Often they're very similar questions, and so when you have the answers all written out and saved from previous grant applications, it'll make your next applications just that little bit easier. Many of the local grants are looking to support projects that will have a much greater impact than one single business or business owner. They might be asking for letters of reference, letters of appraisal, or letters of support. A letter of reference will speak to your character. These letters are typically coworkers, clients, mentors, mentees, people who are in your close circle who can talk to your character. Letters of support can be other business owners, community members, organizations, folks that will be impacted through your work. And lastly, a letter of appraisal can be the media. So if you've been featured in a news article or the radio, it can also be folks who have enjoyed your art or your business and they are giving a testimonial. So if you get denied, I know it can be discouraging, but don't let that stop you from applying again. If you've been given a no, reach out to the team and ask if the funders can review your grant application and let you know exactly the reasons why you weren't a fit for that specific grant or the time you applied. You can use that information to make your next grant application really strong and increase your chances to getting that project finally funded. When you're applying to a grant, you are spending the time to actually write and create a project. And if you get the grant, you are committing to making that project happen. So there's something that entrepreneurs often do, which is increase the project scope and create so much work for them that when they actually receive the grant, it doesn't align with what the business really needs. So the next time you see a big flashy grant and you may meet all of the requirements, consider if this project is aligning with the vision you have for this business, if it will actually impact the amount of products or services that you can sell to customers, and if this is just a project that you could do but isn't necessary for the business to grow. You do not want to get distracted by a project just because you could get the grant. Even if you've been approved, it can take weeks, months, and even over a year for you to get that first check. So if you're really looking for funding to go right away to start your project, grants might not be the best option. You might want to explore going through a loan with a traditional bank, a microloan, angel investment, venture capital investment, or bootstrapping, the process of raising money from friends and family. As you put in your application, it's so important for you to know before you submit the application what the grant will require of you, not just the project scope, but how they will pay you. For example, are they going to reimburse you so you have to pay in advance the contractors, the fees, the tools, whichever you need to complete the project? Is it a dollar matching grant? Do you have to have the same amount you're applying for in the bank or previously contributed to the project? And lastly, it's really important to know that the majority of grants will need for them to approve the proposed project before you start working. There is nothing more discouraging than going out, buying the tools, getting the project going, only to realize that everything you've bought cannot be reimbursed or included in the grant. So once again, speak to the program advisors before applying, understand what you are committing to, and create a plan for your business to ensure success. Finding grants can feel overwhelming, but luckily, our team is here to help. We often meet with grant funders to understand who their grants are for, what their timelines are like, and what other resources are available to entrepreneurs when they seek funding. So you don't have to do it alone. Come talk to us.